has sewage handling facilities.
Yes.
So, which we will be charging those collectors every time that they come too. So I think it covers it off without actually applying it to taxes, and
I'm just saying, instead of charging the user, what you'd have to have is just a certificate that this is coming from your municipality. The septic comes from the municipality, and then I'm just saying, if you want to charge onto property taxes, and from an equity perspective, people are saying, well, you're charging my property tax. I don't have like a sewage, I'm not connected to the sewage system. They say, yeah, what we built capacity in the system for you to use the sewage treatment plant. And therefore, you're paying $36 a year, and when you pump out, he's gonna come, you don't have to pay for the disposal at the treatment plant. You're paying that through your, it's $36.
This is providing the revenue to the septic treatment at the sewage treatment plant without metering it on an individual basis.
Yeah.
This is charging everybody to dump it, whether they use it or whether they don't. If you charge the rate to dump it every time a tanker dumps, it gets put back through, and it may not come to our plant. The revenue may not come to Lambton Shores.
So this is
they'll find
guaranteed
someplace
now,
else to dump it. We have to be competitive. This way we're charging whether they use it or not.
But this is over and above the actual cost of the honey wagon coming, right?
That's right.
They
The
have to
honey
pay for
wagon is one
the
cost.
physical honey wagon
Yeah,
coming.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't have to pay for the dumping.
But it's giving us a facility to use, and by having a facility to use, there's charges of every year being available to do that. So we're paying a fee to be able to use the system
This
that's
is a
there.
poop tax.
Yes.
But the problem is they've been paying twice.
Plain and
They've been
simple.
paying the honey wagon, because he's
Yes,
factoring
right.
his cost of dumping,
So-
and then he's paying it on his
That's
taxes
because I
too,
have
so you're
taxes.
paying for it twice.
But
We are
that-
saying you're gonna pay to dump it here whether you want to or not.
No, but we're making more than $30 or whatever on each one of the dumps from the honey wagon. We're making more than that. So why don't we just eliminate all of this complicated calculations and just say we will be applying it to
It's
the
like
septic
garbage
handling
truck going
at,
by. The
and then we
house
actually
has to be
magnify
there.
or increase our options because we have others coming in from other jurisdictions and
We
nothing in London.
we have two different ranges with what I was trying to identify. You have one where, right now, you have all of the wastewater costs coming off of per cubic meter rate. And there's a little bit in there for septic charges and stuff. The other side of the was put 100% on property taxes. So there's your range, right?
Right.
But it comes with, when you shift from one to the other and you go to property taxes, there may be, some people that may say, well, it's unfair because I'm paying for something I don't get at all. And your answer is, yes, but we have taxing powers, get over it.
Come on up and live in Grand Bedford.
I say you have taxing
That's what
powers.
you have.
It's within your right, it's within your right to do it.
It has to be justifiable.
The midpoint, no?
But it does, I mean, for us, morally,
Just
we
the-
feel it has to be justifiable, yes.
You have taxing powers. You can put it on there. This one is if you want to identify the proportion of the cost of the system. You've built capacity, there's treatment that have to happen. I'm suggesting, depending on how you look at it, 3 years or 5-year pumpage, somewhere between 15 and 20% of the full cost of running that system can be put onto the property taxes, with the rest coming through rates. It's just suggesting it from a slightly different. But this way, if people ask the question, they're saying, well, because we built capacity and we've got the cost there for you.
So the $36 be a flat rate per property, or would it be based on assessment
Average tax.
average? So the house that's paying $20,000 in taxes is paying a lot more and producing the same amount of salaries. Okay, Councillor Russell, you had it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you. I think this is the start of a discussion that's going to be much fuller and more open. I better get to work and very, very soon. And I just want to say this, I think this is great that he answered this and so quickly. And Janet, thank you for everybody getting this stuff to him, because this is starting a discussion. And I think what we've got to look at is the opportunity in this discussion. Back in the 1990s, we had an environment committee in Sanquit. They spent 3 years discovering what poop's all about. It was all septic, right? Because we didn't have any sewage treatment. But the interesting part, this is the first time I've ever seen a breakdown, and I think you were hitting it on the head, Bill. It's a breakdown that at least gives us something to start with, and that's all it is a start. But the neat thing about it, it gives us some tools to talk about, because I think one of the biggest problems we had with that discussion back in the 90s, other than the province wouldn't enforce it, right, is you have to have a starting point. Now, if you look at the whole Arkell idea and all the different things, part of this 3 to 5 year has to do with maintenance. It has to do with doing the environment a good deed versus a bad deed. So that's part of that process. So this is a very minimal, as far as I'm concerned, a look at how you apply dollars for the purposes of replacing another thing. But in fact, the more full study would look at those environmental costs. They would look at a whole bunch of areas about how are we dealing with that the same as you do a sewage treatment plant. And that's exactly what the Environment Committee did back in the 1990s. They presented and said, if you want to get rid of class 7s, you have to have septage treatment, which is what we're getting. Septage treatment. You can't get rid of, you know what class 7s are, Gary? Those are the fields where the honey wagon goes. We got one of them down in the bog by my place. Nobody even knows it exists, but that's where their poop goes, you know. But anyways, the point I'm making is I think this is a great start. This is the first time we've ever seen anything like this.
Councillor Scott?
All right, if we were to look at, if this council decided today that everybody in the municipality was gonna pay $160, right? If that was one decision that we made. If we,
Would be yours, not mine.
well, just wait, let me finish.
It's not a motion yet.
All right, carry on.
Floor, thank you. If we took a look and we divided, or times that by 3, $160, if that was the motion we made, that'd be $480. If we took and had the opportunity to do this version as the passing one, and we used the 3-year thing there at $55, and you times that by 3, that's $165. That leaves you $315, which I know isn't what a food truck comes to take your septage away. So you ultimately would still be under what we would have to pay if it was mandatory $160 by paying the $55, and that would be maintenance. But all I'm saying is that if you would just take the straight options that are there.
So do I get a deferred tax benefit for paying for my own septic system?
You're mixing two options. You're mixing the
Well,
option
I'm
of
not
$160.
mixing it all, no. No, I'm saying that the charge is on there.
Deputy Mayor Dec, and then Councillor
Yeah,
Andrews.
I just want to ask a couple of questions quickly about your figures, because a number of the figures don't coincide with what we've been told, or what I remember we were told. So, for example, like the Pinery, we were told that we would be getting $2 million from the Pinery. It says $1.25 million. The FCM grant, we were told it was $1 million. It's only $883 here. There's also the unfunded carry forward. We've been told that the total cost, including the unfunded carry forward, is $19.8, but it's broken out as an extra $1.8 million there. There's just a whole bunch of things that are not the numbers that we're comfortable with, so they seem to be either reduced or the income seems to be reduced and the expenses seem to be increased. So it seems to be skewing the numbers.
Can you
I'll
comment?
speak to that relatively quickly with the FCM, because with the scope change and the change in dollars, it went from $1 million and they were saying it's down to $883. I think
We didn't have a scope change, we did the whole $1.6 million, and that's what we were told, we did everything.
No, and we've reported on that, and Brent's reported on that, how it's dropped from $1 million down to $883. Yes, that is the last information I've got from FCM, because we had to submit the scope change. So that being said, the Pinery, yes, the contract that is currently in place from 2006, I think it was. I think there's one that's going to change, I think it needs to be renegotiated. We haven't been able to do that, so based on a clear percentage of the cost is where we came up with that 1.2.
Yeah, we asked for that several times and we were told not to even go there,
I
so.
can't guarantee it, but I had to put a number in there and I was being conservative. I didn't want to put $2 million in there because I don't think you're going to get $2 million if they're not going to get the capacity that they agreed to in that agreement.
Well, that's nice to hear, because I said that many times, and our former CAO told me it was a non-issue. So I'm
We're
very
not doing
pleased to
this
hear that
tonight.
finally.
Okay, so it's an estimate at this point, a conservative estimate.
Councillor Andrews.
As far as the carry forward cost,
Yeah,
if I can, in the 1.6, we know that's what the carry forward cost was.
yes.
There's $300,000 sitting there as unfunded for the zone 3, for the EA that we did not complete. We have to fund that from somewhere. If we're not moving forward with these sewers in 10, 20 years, fund it, we'll go back and